In the U.S., let's talk to Marc Faber. Dr. Marc Faber, editor and publisher of the Boom and Doom Report. He's our guest host for the next 2 hours of the show. Always happy to take your questions. Email us at squawk@cnbcasia.com. Dr. Faber, great to see you again. What does this mean for investing in the U.S.?
Well, thank you for having me. Well, basically, I don't think that it is possible to reduce the deficit meaningfully unless you increase taxation significantly and unless you cut spending meaningfully. And therefore, having the Democrats on one side of the aisle and the Republicans on the other, I don't believe that they will compromise. I think the debt ceiling will be increased, yes, but I think the deficits will stay around minimum $1.5 trillion for the foreseeable future.
Does that mean you think that the Democrats are too heavy on lobbying higher taxes rather on the wealthy, and the Republicans too focused on cutting spending? Is that what you're telling us, Mark?
Yes, precisely. I think the Democrats want essentially the well-to-do people to accept higher taxes, and the well-to-do people want to accept essentially the lower income groups to accept lower spending. And so they're not going to agree, but both benefit from high deficits. The Democrats, because they get handouts, although these handouts are eaten up by inflation, in other words, price increase, so in real terms their incomes don't go up, but maybe they don't see that this way. And the Republicans, they don't have increased taxation, so they also benefit. And in addition to that, there is a lot of spending that benefits well-to-do people, like defense expenditures.
Mark, but isn't there room for some optimism, though, given the fact that this bipartisan committee set up to look into the deficit has agreed on $4 trillion worth of cuts? Isn't there some room for optimism there, that we have some bipartisan unity at least? You're chuckling, so obviously you'd think not.
Yes, I mean, there have always been deficit reduction plans, and none of them were kept because of politics and because of the economic situation. I think maybe you can cut the deficit from, say, $1.5 trillion down to $1.4 trillion by $100 billion or so. But they argued now for almost 6 months to cut the deficit or reduce the deficit by something like $40 billion. What does it matter, $40 billion on $1.5 trillion?
Indeed. We're going to continue the conversation with you in just a moment. Marc Faber is staying with us.